So let's have a look at email automation. Let's have a look at some of the basics of email automation, why we would automate, when to automate, and we're going to look at some examples so you can see how they actually work as well. So why automate? Well, you've got segmentation. We might want to segment different people into different places. We've got sales funnels we're going to want to build, and we're going to want to automate those. So we might want to send a series of emails out that take them down a specific sales funnel. We might want to give them links they can click, and then if they click a specific link, then we can send a different email. If they don't click, we can send another email, so we can set up our segmentation, and then we can split offers as well. So we can, depending on where they came in, we can then send them different offers. So for instance, if they came in on an email that was for beginners, we might send them a specific offer for beginners. If it came in on an email that was aimed at intermediate or advanced, we could switch them as well. We could bring them in on retail offerings. So we have a CRM system in our email marketing. We could look at how many sales they've actually that we've actually had with this particular client. And if we have a look at that, then we can send them special offers. So if someone's spending lots of money, we might send them a really special deal, say thank you. Or maybe we can't get someone to buy, and we might need to send them something very specific, and we can drop them into that. There's lots of different ways we can use automations. What I'm going to show you here, however, is I'm just going to give you a basic overview of how automation works. I'm going to use ActiveCampaign, which is email marketing provider that I use. Yours may change, so I can't really go into how to set up, because this isn't a course on ActiveCampaign. I can't go into how you might set up your automations, because they're going to be slightly different in every piece of software. But what I can show you the principles and 3 examples of how we might set up some automations. So here's 3 simple examples we're going to show you, and these are going to cover a lot of the core stuff you're going to want to do with your automations. So we've got a simple follow-up email. We've got a training course email, which is a sequence of 7 emails and 7 videos that were shared with members of my list that signed up. And then we're going to look at a switching list, how we might move someone from one entry point into a main list, allowing us to see how many people and how much response we had on that entry list. So let's have a look at those examples. So this is a really simple automation we've got here. What happens is someone subscribes to a specific list, and in the course we didn't really go into how to design a sign-up form. The reason being, it's because so many different people have different web providers. You might have a custom website built, you might be WordPress, you might be Squarespace, you might be Wix. There's so many different ways of doing it. You could be using lead pages. I didn't want to get into that too much. But what we've got here is we've assumed you've got a sign-up box. There's some call to action you've created. People have signed up. Now they subscribe to the list for DORA signups. So this comes from a specific site. Then I'm going to send them an email, and then I'm going to wait for 7 days. This is a follow-up email, and then my next email is going to go out. So I hope you can see how you might use that. Obviously, ActiveCampaign is really easy to use, guys. If you're looking for automation and email marketing provider, I can strongly recommend these guys. As I mentioned earlier, the price to the value is huge. Really, really, really good guys, and really helpful. If you're having trouble with automations, you've only got to ping them an email and they'll look at it and they'll figure it out for you. We've got their email, there's a 7-day wait, and then we send out a follow-up email. So in this instance, what I was trying to communicate was they had some free training. 7 days later, did they actually take and view the training? So I just want to check back in and see how they're getting on and how they got on with the training. Did they start? Is there any questions? Did they finish? And it's really simple. It's automated, so I don't have to deal with it other than setting the automation up at the beginning and then responding to any queries. So that's our first example, a simple follow-up. Now, this is our training course. So this is our sequential email. This sends out a sequence of 7 emails over 7 days. So they sign up for the first one, and they're going to get an email with a link in it. So let's just have a look at that, which is a call to action, which they click on to get access to some training. So as you can see, really short copy, really simple. put my image up there so they know who I am. And then let's just open that so you can see how that would work. And now they've signed up for some free training. I've created a landing page. There's the free training on that page. And then they've also got a discount to special offer to my advanced training. So there's a call to action. You see, I'm using my email, even though the call to action is not in the email itself. On this one, I'm sending them to a place where they can see the call to action. So that's the first step. They've done that on the first day. So if we go to the second email now, that's our first email in the sequence. There's 7 emails in this sequence. Our second email is looking for the fact they clicked the link through to the training. And if they did, then they're going to get another email, which is module 2. Now that email is going to go out. We could put 24 hours delay in there, and it has got 24 hours in this. That email could go out at that specific time. And the action, the automation, the trigger was they clicked the link. And we're going to wait for 24 hours. Does the contact match the following conditions? Now we're starting to split test the automation. And this was where it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, I could have shown you this on all-on-one automation, but ActiveCampaign discouraged that. They say it's better if you create like a sequence of automations and create one big automation out of that. And it's much easier to manage. And I agree with them. I did a massive one once and it had problems and it was huge. And then I couldn't figure out when I had a problem. This way it's much, much easier. And I can just take a campaign, duplicate it, and then just change the emails each time and the links. And that's what I did here. So it's much quicker to create. So there's in that email itself. So let's just have a look. I want you to see this. They've got a link to the next video. But that's not all, because now we've just introduced can't wait for the next module. Just click above and we will send you the link. So this was a 24-hour delay, but what I wanted to see was, are there people that wanted to fast track, that are hyper interested in my stuff, because I can send them a really special offer if they are. So if they just every 24 hours that email went out normally, then that wouldn't be remarkable. But if they were clicking through and watching the day, I could see that. They'd click on that link. I could tag it, as we just saw in the automation. And then I could set up another automation on this tag. And then if they didn't click it, they would just get the third email 24 hours later. So you can see we've set up a really simple automation. That cycle repeats itself, and then we get to the end of the automation. And what we're going to do is we're going to send them an email. We'll wait for 24 hours, and we're going to move them to our normal email list, and we've finished. But when we send this email, edit that so you can have a look. Have you finished the course? And then we can give a call to action to get a special deal because they haven't brought it. They've gone through every time they've clicked an email and they've watching it, they've been exposed to the call to action. So right at the end of the cycle, the 7-day, I'm just going to send them another email with an offer just to help them. And I could change that offer. I could do lots of different things with the automation. I hope you can see how that would work and how you can set up these multiple emails, and that's set up once. So once you've set it up and done all the hard work, it's a case of people finding it on the internet, clicking, coming in, going through the process, and now you're going to start getting some sales from that automated process, and you don't have to work on it ever again. So really, really, really powerful when you get one of these working, and you have to fine tune them, you have to iterate them to get them to the point where they're working. Hopefully you can see how that went. What we're going to look at now is the final example of switching list automation. Where we would use this was if we ran a particular campaign. Like I had a campaign early on when I first started creating Udemy courses, where I wanted to see if I could offer a premium course whether people would come onto my list, and it worked. It was great, and this is what came out of that. What would happen is they would subscribe to a specific list. Now that list, obviously, they would go onto my webpage. There'd be a sign up form. They would sign up and it would trigger this subscription, and I would use ActiveCampaign with Squarespace, which is what I build my websites on. It's just so easy and simple and quick. And I would also use Zapier to connect the two. So it's a little bit technical, but once you start doing automations like this, you'll soon figure it out. And I would connect the two and they would drop in, they would sign up on my Squarespace site. Zapier would look at that, would monitor that, and as soon as it see it, it would send it to ActiveCampaign, and ActiveCampaign would update my list, and this would happen. So they've subscribed, so I'd get an email notification. This is an automation element I can add here, which tells me someone has requested a free course. I would then pop them on the list, and that's that automation done. So a couple of things have happened there. Obviously, I've been notified. So I've been notified that someone has done a specific action, so I can then respond to that, or I can make some choices or some automations around that. In this instance, I would have to email them and say, what course would you like of my many courses? And the main point here is they came in on a specific marketing campaign, and that means I can just watch that particular list grow. So I could look at that campaign and say, look, I got 20 signups from that campaign, or I got 100 signups, or 50 or 1,000, depending on how broad your list is and how much reach you've got. I got these signups. They came in on this, generated a lot of newsletter signups for me, and then I moved them to this list. Rather than just having the same signup going to the same list, by pointing them to different signups, I can then see which campaign they came through on, which list they came through on. So I hope you found that sort of helpful to help you start thinking about some of the different ways you might set up automations.